Hi, welcome back to Maths Learning Groups, and today we are going to talk about something that is very important. It's about making an assumption. Now, when you do math, you cannot assume, right? You have to prove whatever that you see, unless you are doing assumption method, which is one of the heuristics. But otherwise, when you do any math questions, you cannot assume. And if you think it looks like, as long as you cannot prove it, it may not be real. It may not be true. So you have to prove and not assume. So what am I talking about? So let's look at this question and then you will see what am I talking about. So we are going to look at the primary 5 question on angles. So if you look at this question, right, the figure is given to you and angle BCD is 65 degrees. So where's your BCD, which is over here, right? So is that 65 degrees? You have to prove it. So how do you prove it? So the right angle is 90, and we learned that angle on a straight line, right? So every time you see a straight line, the angles that you see over here, they add together is 180 degrees. So you minus 90, you minus 25, and this is 65 degrees. So you have proven that angle BCD is 65 degrees. So that is what I mean. You have to prove it. Okay, let's do some more. Then you have a better understanding of what do you mean that when I say you cannot assume. So let's look at part B. Now the sum of angle BADC, which is this angle, and your BCD, which is this angle. So when you add them together, is it 180 degrees? So you have to prove it. Okay, so you take 180 minus 75, that will give you 105, right? And then you take 105 plus 65, that will give you 170, which is not true, right? False. So far what we have done is we have worked out. Okay, we have used the angles, the numbers to work out and to tell us whether is it true or false. So it seems to be quite easy, right? Then when you come to part C, this is the part where many students, they start to make mistake because they assume. Alright, ABCD is a trapezium. So they look at this ABCD, which is a 4-sided figure, and they saw these two lines, this green line, and they saw this green line. And they look at the two lines and they think that they look parallel. So they assume the two lines are parallel, and this is the problem. So when you assume that these two lines are parallel, what happened? Then you start to make mistakes because the question never says it's a trapezium, and the question never says that the figure has two lines that are parallel. So does it mean that it's not true also? Right? You have to prove it. Right? So how do you prove it? So what do you know about trapezium? Trapezium must have two lines parallel, and then the angles between the two lines that are parallel must add together 180 degrees. So if you take this angle and this angle, right, 105 plus 72, and if you plus them together, you will get 177 degrees. So do the two angles add together 180? No, they don't. So this is not a trapezium. So you have proven that your angle or that your figure ABCD is not a trapezium. Because in a trapezium, what must you have? In the trapezium, if there are two lines parallel, then this angle and this angle in between, they will add together 180 degrees. Likewise, over here, the angles between the two lines parallel add together 180 degrees. So this is how you prove it, right? You cannot assume. Doesn't mean that it looks like a trapezium, so it has to be a trapezium. You have to prove it, right? So the answer for part C will be false because you have proven that it is not a trapezium. Alright, so you can see that not just for angles, all right, many other questions like bar graph, even area and parameter, sometimes you look at the pictures and you think that it looks like something, but as long as the question number says and you cannot prove it, then you are actually not sure, all right, unless you can prove it, otherwise you can't assume. Okay, alright, so this is a very important short lesson because many students make mistake because they assume. So be careful that when you do your exam, when you do your homework, that you don't assume so fast. Okay, don't assume so easily. Alright, so I will see you in the next lesson video.